Hi, I'm Raymond. You're watching RPadTV 3000. Today, my excellent friend Paul Semel and I will be talking about Harley Quinn Season 4, the latest adventures of Harley and Poison Ivy, King Shark, Clayface, and so much more. But before we get to that, we wanted to pay tribute to Arlene Sorkin, who was the original voice of Harley Quinn in Batman the Animated Series. She really made that character come to life and created something new and something wonderful that started in the animated series, entered the comic book realm, and now he's become a larger than life character. Paul,
Sure.
what did you make of Arlene's performance in Batman the Animated Series?
I remember liking her right from the beginning. Like I remember just being like, okay, this is kind of funny. It was funny, but it was funny in a way that fit that otherwise dark show. Like it didn't
Right.
seem like jokey. It didn't seem like out of place or like they were trying to like soften the show at all. I also love that her Joker is very different. I mean, her Harley Quinn is very different from what we see in the movies and in this cartoon we're going to talk about today. She was very much more of like a 1940s like dame, you
Yeah.
know, and which was cool because that was kind of the visual vibe that show had anyway. I mean, like if you remember, like all the gangsters always had those old school like
The Tommy
Tommy
guns.
guns,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I really like. In fact, like I was trying to get it into frame earlier, but I don't. It looks like it might be blurry, but yeah, like
That's awesome.
yeah, I don't know where I got it from, but like, and they gave her kind of a booty, but a little scooty booty, but it is. Yeah, and I've seen different interviews with Bruce Timm, who was the guy who wrote those episodes and co-created the character, and he was friends with Arlene and literally like based the character on her. Like it wasn't just that she came in and did this voice and like, oh, she was really really good at it. Like she was like a lot of that character was her, like kind of the background and the fact that she has that like New York accent, the Brooklyn,
Right.
you know. So yeah, I mean, she was just great and
Yeah, from my perspective, at that time and pretty much up until maybe the last 5 or 7 years, I was very much a comic book purist. And didn't really like things that started in other mediums and made
right.
their way into comics, but the Harley Quinn character was so well written and so well acted that you could not help but love that character. I mean, Arlene did such a good job of
Yeah.
making that character distinct and unique. And now look at, I mean, Harley Quinn has her own movies. She's
Yeah.
it's
Well, yeah, and Arlene's performance still casts like a really like long shadow. Like
right.
in fact, like with the exception of the movies and this new TV show, like almost everybody else just tries to imitate her.
Right.
And sometimes that's intentional. Like when she stopped doing the voice in the Batman Arkham games, they brought somebody in and they were like, "Look, we need you to sound like she did in the in the previous games." But that was like a continuity thing.
Yeah.
But, like I've seen other like people do her voice, like Melissa Rauch, who was on The Big Bang Theory with Kaylee Cuoco. She's Harley Quinn in an animated movie that I like called, I think, Batman and Harley, but literally she's just doing Arlene Sorkin.
Right, right. And look at the actors playing her in live action. You have Margot Robbie and Lady Gaga. So even to approach that character, you're talking about really giant stars
Yeah.
that even would even touch that because Arlene is so distinct and made that character such a wonderful thing that not just anyone can do it.
No, and I think that was one of the things that Margot Robbie said was like she didn't want to just come in and be Arlene. Like she
Right,
wanted to like put her own, because she knew that there was no way if she tried to be Arlene she would fail.
right,
So she was going to do her own thing. And it's also to Margot Robbie's credit that she does not claim ownership over this. Like people asked her like, what do you think about the fact that Lady Gaga is going to play Harley in a movie and that Kaylee is playing her on TV? And she's like, great, fine.
Yeah.
Like, I love the character. I'd like to see all these different people. And she brings up like the Joker, like how many great actors have played the Joker and put their own spin on it. And,
Right.
you know,
Now, we just want to take the beginning of this podcast to say thank you to Arlene Sorkin for giving us Harley Quinn and being awesome. You are a queen. Thanks for everything. Now, let us get into Harley Quinn season 4. For those of you just tuning in, there will be spoilers. We will be not giving too many big things away, but yeah, we are going to discuss this as thoroughly as we can. But let's kick things off with a Frank the Plant-sized review of Harley Quinn. So, Paul, give me a few minutes of your thoughts on season 4.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
I love the show.
Same.
I love the season. But of the 4, it was the least interesting.
I feel very, very similarly, although I don't know if I can say that I loved season 4. I liked it. I enjoyed it. But for me, it was a significant step behind seasons 1, 2, and 3, which I definitely loved.
Yeah.
And pretty high bar there. So
yes. Yeah.
Now let's talk about why we felt that way by talking about what went wrong on season 4. Now, for me, the best part of this show is having all these characters and their unique takes on these characters, because this is an irreverent, wacky, weird show, but it's at its best when they're, living in the same living room together, or there's a group of them all hanging out. And in this season, they were all kind of like doing their own thing. Ivy and Harley were separated. Harley was trying to be a good member of the Bat family, while Ivy was doing the Legion of Doom thing. Clayface, or as I should say, Clayface, he had a residency in Las Vegas. King Shark had kids, but came back as an IT guy later, randomly. But they weren't together, and it wasn't as much fun when they were all doing their own thing. How did you feel? Agree, disagree?
I agree with that to a certain extent, but I also, for me, it was the amount of the people that like I still think like the writing was really, really good. I think the voice acting is still really, really excellent.
Yeah, absolutely.
But to me, the other big things for me with this show are Harley, Ivy, Harley with Ivy, and King Shark. And
yes,
you got a lot of Ivy. You didn't
right.
have as much Harley, and you didn't thus have as much Harley and Ivy, and you really didn't have a lot of King Shark. And
right.
that for me was,
or even less Clayface, I thought.
Yeah, there was less Clayface. You didn't have the Jason, the Seinfeld guy. He was gone. You didn't have Frank the Plant, really.
Yeah,
much. It was very, like, if somebody had said, "Oh, we're doing like a one-off season called Poison Ivy Executive," like, okay, yeah, that's what this kind of was. This was really the Poison Ivy show this time around.
Yeah.
And again, I love Poison Ivy in the show, and I love Lake Bell's performance as Poison Ivy, but I like these other characters as well. So,
Lake Bell, the answer to the trivia question: what if Amanda Peet had smaller teeth? It's like, am I the only one that thinks that?
now I want to see the two of them in a movie together where they play sisters.
It could happen, but yeah, I would always get confused. In my head, I say it in a much more fucked up way, but
yeah,
that is my general thought. We have opposing comment thoughts here.
Okay.
Larry said Bane's story was kind of lame, in my opinion. I would agree that him pining for Nora was kind of lame, but as Carlos mentioned, Bane's pasta journey, I loved Bane's pasta journey. I thought that might have been my favorite episode of the season. And the King Shark stuff was good too, with Jim Gordon teaching
Yeah,
how
I
to be
mean,
a
what you got of King Shark was good, and again, a lot of that goes to Ron Funches, who is spectacular in this show.
Ron Funches, not how my friend says it. He calls it. He always says Funges, and I'm like, no, that's not his name. It's also gross.
Yeah,
It's like munches.
yeah.
Yeah, Ron Funches is fantastic.
Yeah,
I love him.
And yeah, but again, we didn't get nearly as much of him as I would have preferred.
Right. The other thing that I didn't like is that I love how weird and wacky it gets. In seasons 1 to 3, they just got like right up to the line before it got too weird and kind of pretentious. And I think this season kind of crossed the line with the Harley sleepwalking cloning microwave thing. Like that didn't really work for me up until the finale, and we'll get into that a bit later, but I didn't really like that part of the storyline, partially because I love Nightwing. He's my favorite comic book character, but he just got killed in such a dumb way. Spoiler.
Yeah, but that's one of the interesting things about this show is that it's its own continuity. So let them do whatever they want. Like they never would have let him kill Nightwing, if it was like connected to something else, or let Batman go to jail on tax evasion. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I love about the show is that
or Alfred trying to get into jail to be with Bruce. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a good transition to what we like about the show. And it still has everything that I love about this show is that it gets weird and wacky. And there are many times like, I can't believe they're allowed to do this. Like, I can't imagine Disney allowing a Marvel equivalent of this. I mean, there was some weird stuff in like MODOK, but not this weird, I thought.
No.
Like the finale of season 3 where Bane is humping buildings. Like, just like, it's so ridiculous and hilarious at the same time.
Yeah.
I think things like that.
Season 3. It makes me wonder what the Deadpool cartoon was going to be.
Yeah.
Like whether they would have been allowed to go this far with it, which they should have. But
absolutely.
Again, we'll never know.
And I don't think the season had anything quite that weird as the last part, but it's still
Harley getting cloned, I mean, that's kind of from a microwave. Like, I mean, that's
but I like
that's pretty much Rick and Morty right there. So, but
like Clayface killing and then impersonating Billy Bob Thornton in season 3. That's just
he's by Billy Bob Thornton, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so good.
Yeah. That's
His name is Bob. I mean, that was great when he was trying to speak Italian to those kids.
Yeah.
Larry says Harley shaking her chest at Ivy's spaceship. Yes, but didn't mind. I don't know what that says about Paul and I. But
we're going to be canceled.
These takes,
irate 12-year-olds.
These takes on these characters are so good and so much fun. But what's even more impressive are some of the actors that they get to play these guys. Like Lex Luthor is voiced by
Giancarlo
Esposito.
Esposito? Okay.
Yes.
Who was Giancarlo Giannini?
I don't know.
I think he's like an Italian actor. But yeah. Esposito, who is absolutely fantastic and a top-notch actor.
Yeah. And they even have small roles. I think Mama Nacaroni from the Italy episode, I think that was Janine Garofalo, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, was it? Oh,
yeah. So they get like pretty famous actors to do these ridiculous roles, and that's just so good.
Well, I think that's a thing about, and they had Jason Alexander. Don't forget, he was on the I think that's a thing now where you can get big people to do these things because they get to have a kind of fun they don't get to normally have, you know. And especially when a show becomes kind of iconic and you know, like now, like I would imagine like Rick and Morty could get almost like anybody they wanted, you know. South Park could probably, I mean, look at South Park. They literally had George Clooney and had him just voice a dog. No speaking lines, just barked. You know.
I mean, yeah.
And you know, and of course The Simpsons. So, you know, I think you can get like people like you can get some people like that to, you know, to do so. I mean,
and even some of the regulars, like, you know, were both Haley and Kaylee and Lake, you know, pretty prominent actors. JB Smoove is Frank the Plant. Nora Freeze was big in this season. That's Rachel Dratch from Saturday Night Live fame.
Right.
Just looking up on IMDb, that was Janine Garofalo as Mama Macaroni with an N.
Right.
But yeah, just some of these actors, it's just kind of nuts that they're getting all these people for some really silly roles, but really, really fun roles.
Well, I would also think that, you know, Kaylee Cuoco has been around for a very long time. She knows a lot of these people.
Right.
And she's a producer on the show too. So my guess is, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we found out that, like, you know, she called, you know, whoever, Janine Garofalo, and was like, hey, come play with us on this show. It's fun and you'll get to do stuff. And people are like, all right, you know.
And a lot of actors.
We haven't seen, like, you know, anybody from The Big Bang Theory on the show yet. I mean,
that's true.
You know, it's not like she can't get them.
A lot of movie and TV actors love these VO gigs because it's relatively easy compared to what they normally do.
Yeah.
You know, there's no hair and makeup. You can just scroll in as you are.
Right. Especially if it's like a half-hour cartoon, because it's not like like it's a video game. Like, that's a time commitment. But
right.
Like, if somebody says, like, we literally just want you to show up, say like 10 lines and.
Yeah. I mean, these episodes are like roughly 22, 24 minutes each.
Right.
So, and 10 episodes a season. So not a ton of work especially for the smaller roles. Like, the actors that we loved, like Ron Funches, although Alan Tudyk was doing double duty on this. He's Joker also, in addition to Clayface.
Yeah.
I just love his stupid voice and how he exaggerates everything, even when he's trying to act in other roles. Like, but let us keep going with that train of thought and talk about our favorite performances in season 4. Carlos mentioned he loved the Bane Italy episode, while Larry mentioned he did not like Bane's story as a whole. Who stood out for you?
I think Lake Bell really, I mean, not that she didn't do good work in the previous ones, but she's really emerged as one of my favorite voice actors. Right before the season started, I rewatched What If, the Marvel show.
Right.
And she's the voice of the Black Widow on that, and was really, really good. And but it's a completely different performance, completely different character. And she's just so good in this role, and, like, you know, just really good at capturing the right emotion and putting a nice, funny spin on things. And so for me, she was one of the highlights of this season.
Yeah, I agree. I think she did the heavy lifting for this season.
Yeah,
for the most part. And wasn't she in a movie about voice actors, if I'm not mistaken?
She was in a movie where
in a world.
Yeah, she was in a movie where she's like one of those people. Like, I think it was like she was trying to break into movie trailer narration.
Yeah.
It wasn't like about voice acting. It was about movie like, you know, being
yeah.
That guy who I don't think that guy's around anymore, by the way, either.
There was one guy for that.
Well, there was one guy who was really famous for being the world. Right. And there's even like a document. I want to say his name is Don something, but he was like a complete character, and there's like a documentary about him, but because he was like, he was basically the John Williams of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like the guy who like there's him and then there's like everybody else. So.
And then in a lower tier, there's like Mr. Movie Phone or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Movie Phone.
Yeah.
Ron Funches, of course, is although he didn't have as much to do this season as in previous ones. I love this man as a voice actor, as a stand-up comic. I think he's fantastic. And he's also a comics nerd. So I don't know if you've ever seen him in the LA comic book stores, but he used to work at one of them. I don't remember if it was Golden Apple or the other one. I know there's more than two, but they're like two really big ones that we used to go to.
Well, the two that we used to go to are Golden Apple, which is still around, and Meltdown.
Meltdown is no longer around,
and Meltdown's not. Oh. Meltdown closed years ago. And then there's like a Heidi Ho Comics in Santa Monica, which I'm not sure if that one's still around.
Yeah, that's too far. I can't be bothered with the West Side.
Well, I used to work down there, so it was easy.
I know, but I don't know. I don't generally go west of Gower for people. It's a good rule. You got to have standards.
Yeah, but usually the rule is not I won't go west of Gower. It's usually I won't go east of Gower.
I'm a K-Town guy at heart.
Yeah.
Don LaFontaine.
Yes, that was his name. And it was like something really cool. Yeah. Oh, wow. Don.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
It was like Don Olemeyer.
If you see the guy, he looks like a character. He looks like a guy who, if he was behind the counter at a pizzeria, when you walk in, he'd be like, "Hello, my friend," and you'd be like, "Yes, I've never been here before, but I feel welcome."
I always the Honest Trailers guy, I think, is kind of like that now.
Yeah, except that he can't do like a serious movie.
No,
but you hear his voice, you're like.
So okay, well, taking a step back. I used to write a lot for the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences. They do the DICE Awards and the DICE Summit.
Right.
So one of the bios I wrote for the award show, the Honest Trailers guy ended up doing the narration of it. And I had no idea that was happening, but I'm like, whoa, I'm like the Honest Trailer guy saying my words. This is cool. So that was a nice moment for me.
That's cool.
That probably doesn't mean much to anyone
No.
else. But keeping with the actors that we loved, it's a lot of the same guys that didn't have as much to do. Although one that did have a lot to do, the Jim Gordon character was great. He ends up working for the Legion of Doom because he got fired when Joker became mayor.
Right. Chris Maloney.
Yes.
From Law and Order.
He's just like a bad. I mean, the way they play him, because he's such a straight up good cop in the comics and the movie and pretty much everywhere else.
Yeah.
And here he's just kind of a fuck up. He's a alcoholic, although he was an alcoholic, bad husband, not a great parent in the comics, but they just take it to a new level where he's just irresponsible, really.
Yeah.
And I loved when he was helping King Shark parent and showing like he had the baby sharks on the copier. It's like you get some white noise and you have some keepsakes too that you'll remember forever. Putting whiskey on his fingers so they can go to sleep.
Right.
Like I love that character a lot.
I thought I don't remember her name, but the woman who does the voice of Barbara Gordon did a good job. She had more to do this time around as well.
Isn't that Kaylee's sister?
Oh, I think you're right. I think you're right. That is Kaylee's sister. Yeah.
So that's bring your sister to work day. Yeah. Hey, Barbara was great.
She's good at it. And we can't let's not forget Kaylee in all this because one of the things to kind of go back to what we talked about very much in the beginning, she's definitely put her own spin on this character. And this is not the Arlene Sorkin version of this character. It is very different, Well,
I mean, they say the C word, things like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's definitely, if you have a little kid who watches The Big Bang Theory, don't let them watch the show.
Not a good idea for this one.
Because Penny gets a little blue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and pretty much seconds into the episodes too. They don't hold back. It's just bang right away. And that's part of the show.
But I think that was part of why she wanted to do it. Part of why they wanted to do the shows. They wanted to do what would Harley be like if she was actually as unhinged as it's always been kind of hinted at. But she and if you read the Harley Quinn comics, like she kind of goes a little nuts there for a while.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, she was in like a punk band at one point. I still can't believe this happened. There was a reference to Gigi Allen in a Harley Quinn comic book. And if you know who Gigi Allen is, you know how weird that is.
And again, a testament to this excellent, wacky character that is, look what it has become.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about, we alluded to this already, but there were some characters that we loved from the previous seasons that didn't get as much play in season 4. Now, for me, it was definitely King Shark and Clayface. I always love them together, but especially when they're with Harley and Ivy. I just think they're such a nice, weird and wacky family.
Yeah,
it just absolutely works. Who did you want to see more of in season 4?
King Shark for sure. And I don't know whether just Ron's career has taken off and he wasn't available or what, but like I definitely would have liked to have seen more of him, as a single dad and as an IT guy and I mean he's so funny in that role and such a sweet performance.
Yeah.
And then can just turn on a dime and be like almost like Hulk out, for lack of a better way to put it, and just go off.
No, he'll be like super sweet and positive, and then seconds later he'll just bite the top half of a man. And eat him, and just the way he delivers lines. I remember in one of the early episodes of season 4 when they were talking about Lex Luthor shitting his pants, and King Shark was like, that man doesn't just shit his pants for anyone. Like the way he says it, it's really sweet and endearing. And much like Ron's stand-up is like that too. Like I love hearing him laugh because there's an innocence about it, and there's a joy, and that comes across in his performance as King Shark.
Yeah.
And
well, he's also got like a voice for that too. Like it'd be weird to hear like that voice say things that are like cynical and mean. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that
I can't do like you have to go and listen to Ron talk to understand what that sounds like if you're unfamiliar with him. Like I can't do like a Ron Funches like imitation, but like
let's see. One of the things that I really liked him in, there's a stand-up bit that Jeremiah Watkins does, who also voiced the Joker in some other mediums, by the way. He does a thing called Stand Up on the Spot, where he has his comedian friends go up on stage, take topics from the audience, and they just riff on that. Ron Funches did an episode of Stand Up on the Spot that you can find on YouTube, and I think that'll give you an idea of what he's like. He reminds me of I don't know. He's just really sweet and positive. It reminds me of almost like a Michael Clark Duncan's younger brother kind of character.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird.
But it's weird, and it's funny because like a lot of times like people who are like that, they come across as like naive or simple or like clueless, and he doesn't. And in fact, that's one of the things I like about King Shark is that King Shark seems very smart. Like he seems like he might be the smartest guy in the room. Like he's the one who would like sit there and be like, I don't think this plane is going to work because of the winds. And you'd be like, oh, okay.
That's an interesting point. He might be the most grounded for sure.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Harley's insane. Ivy wants to green up the world. Clayface is a total narcissist.
Right.
Well, Dr. Psycho got booted out of the family, so it doesn't count anymore.
But he was a dick.
Yeah.
You know,
so funny, and that has that dick.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was. But even him, like he may be more intelligent than King Shark, but I don't know, for some reason King Shark just seems to have like better.
He has it together. Yeah.
He's got better common sense. He's got better like like Dr. Psycho was like a higher IQ, but like he's
right.
an asshole and an idiot and like
delusions of grandeur with Dr. Psycho. So Larry says, "Damn straight, us IT guys are sharp."
Oh God.
What did they talk about King Shark having IT skills before, or was that just new for this season? Like, I don't remember that.
I don't know. I don't remember that either. But it fits. It perfectly fits, and he was really good at it too.
I loved when he busted out the glasses and the carpal tunnel glove. Oh, great stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. I'm glad that they wrote off his wife. I didn't want him to have his own family and do his own thing. I like that he came back to the gang.
Yeah.
Because he's so good. Now, one character that was missing, and we'll talk about why at the end of this episode, was Kite Man. I loved how Kite Man evolved from being Harley's fiance in season 2.
Poison Ivy's.
Poison Ivy's, sorry. And how he found love with Golden Glider in season 3. I love the take on Golden Glider too, where she's just decapitating people with her skates. But we did not see. Did we see any of him, or just very briefly?
I think just very briefly. I didn't really miss him though.
Oh, I love that character.
I'm not a huge fan of that character.
He's
he's not as bad as Condiment King, but
well, they had Cock King in this series. In addition to Clock King, they had Cock King.
Yeah,
it was a chicken, a rooster.
Yeah,
villain.
Yeah, some of that stuff was fun too. Some of the stuff within the Legion of Doom was fun, sort of the bureaucracy of it, and the sort of office space-ishness of it.
And I liked the forces of nature that Harley wanted to mentor. Volcana, Tefe from the Swamp Thing comics, actually.
Yeah.
And who was the other one? The Earth one, Terra.
Yeah.
And they even made a comment alluding to previous activities where Tefe went to Nora Freeze, like, just because you shook my dad, like. I love that they remember that happening in the series. Again, so weird. A series where Nora Freeze is boning Swamp Thing.
Well, a series where Nora Freeze is actually a character, not a posse.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Rachel Dratch did really well as her and had a lot more screen time.
Yeah,
than I was expecting.
Yeah. I also thought that a lot of this stuff with as much as I lament the lack of Harley and Poison Ivy time, like a lot of the stuff with Poison Ivy where she was dealing with like Talia al Ghul and like the lady business lady, that stuff was a lot of fun too. And
yeah, I agree. And came together at the very end.
Yes. Yeah.
Another shout out to a voice actor. Do you remember Swamp Thing's voice actor?
No.
Bueller. Sam Richardson, one of my favorite comedians.
I don't know who that is. Or maybe I do and I just can't think of it.
Oh, wow. Ted Lasso. He plays Edwin Akufu on that.
Oh, okay.
He was in Veep as Richard T. Split. I don't know why I said T. My middle name's John. But Veep, I thought he was phenomenal in. But
okay.
He's just a really hilarious comedic actor. Now, let us talk about how the season ended, because I remember on X or Twitter, I'm not calling it X. Carlos mentions that he was hoping the finale would help redeem the rest of the season, and I didn't think it would, but it kind of did make a lot of things better for me. How did the finale work for you?
I would have to go back and watch the entire season in a row to really get a sense of that. Like I'd have to watch it like, over the course of say 5 nights as opposed to, 10 weeks. But it did. There were certain things that I thought like they definitely paid certain things off, and like,
right.
I spoiler alert. I like that she kind of realized like, okay, I'm not a bad guy, but I'm also not a good guy,
right.
And she never said the word anti-hero, but that's kind of where it is. Although every time I hear anti-hero now, I think of, did you watch that DC Pets animated movie?
I did not.
There's a very funny scene at the end with Superman's dog and Black Adam's dog, in which Black Adam's dog tries to explain to Crypto what an anti-hero is, and he starts talking about it, and Crypto's like, yeah, that just sounds like a villain. So, but anyway.
Doesn't The Rock play Crypto?
The Rock plays Crypto, and then he does the voice of both Black Adam and Black Adam's dog.
That's great.
Which is hilarious.
Now I do want to see that.
That movie is actually fairly entertaining. If you go into it kind of going, okay, it's a kid's movie, I'm good. Because there's some really, Keanu Reeves as Batman is hilarious.
I can see that.
And oh God, Kate McKinnon is in it from Saturday Night Live, who's hilarious. Mark Maron is Lex Luthor.
Love that guy.
Yeah, I mean that movie's funnier than it deserves to be, for a kids movie. But anyway, yeah, I thought that a lot of that stuff sort of paid off. Like I'm glad they got rid of the Harley clone. I love that Harley kissed her, by the way.
Yes.
Like it was so obviously gonna happen, but it was still just funny that she like kisses herself, and then she's like, I knew I was a good kisser.
Yes, that was awesome.
That was just hilarious.
I mean, it paid off for me. I mean, they brought Nightwing back with the Lazarus Pit because Talia and Ivy have beef now because of how things ended.
Right.
So that absolutely worked for me. On having her as a rival for season 5, God willing, with the strikes and all that, who knows? They brought Nightwing back, who is, of course, is my favorite comics character of all time. And I loved throughout the season how they played up Nightwing's ass, because that was always a thing in the comics for decades, and it was always a fringe thing. You don't really, it's like not a lot of people really talk about it, but they talk about it a lot this season.
Yeah.
And they even made him a custom
the custom coffin.
The coffin with an ass on it for some reason.
Yeah.
And I love that he acknowledges it. He's like, okay, I admit it. I love my ass.
Yeah. And there were people who had like an issue with that, where they were like, I don't like that Harley Quinn is what's the word they use?
Objectifying him?
Objectifying. And I'm like,
why the fuck not?
That's exactly what that character would do.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that Harley Quinn
and the way that that many men objectify Harley Quinn, especially when Margot Robbie plays her.
Oh,
why can't she do the same? I mean,
yeah.
I did not know that was a thing. I'm a bunch of weirdos. So I did love how, yeah, I mean, and the whole cloning aspect of it. I didn't really like the Harley clone thing. I know that they mentioned in like episode 6 or 7 that the microwave is also a cloning device, but I didn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
Yet they did. So, and it's a great setup because now I really want to see season 5. I like the Talia character a lot, and of course Nightwing.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Do you have any expectations, or what is your season 5 wish list for Harley Quinn?
Well, I like that she's going to be back being not good. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Maybe not bad, but not good. And I hope I think basically just everything I hope for is things we've already sort of talked about. I hope King Shark is in it more. I hope Harley and Ivy have more to do together, that it's more of a team up show.
Yeah, I hope all of them, like the whole Harley family. I don't know if that's the right word for it. I hope all of them are together more because they were all separated for most of the season.
Yeah.
And Ivy made a point, like in the finale, says whatever happens, we're going to be doing it together. And I'm like, yes, this is what I want from the show.
Yeah. Well, and maybe, I mean, look, maybe that was kind of their whole thing for this season. Like, let's split them apart so that we can bring them back together. You know, let's make Harley be good so she realizes who she really is.
Right.
You know.
Carlos brings up a point. Clayface should be back since he lost his money in stocks at the end, and also gambling.
Yeah.
One of the dangers of being a Vegas headliner. It's very easy to lose your money.
Yeah.
He also brought up this excellent point, the time travel, where they go to the future and they meet their daughter.
Oh God, you're right.
What did you make of the time travel? And didn't they rename her daughter to something Ladyfingers? Princess Ladyfinger?
Princess Lady. I thought that was weird and interesting, and I was like, where are they going with this? Because in essence, they killed her.
Right.
By preventing the apocalypse. But then again, you could argue that, well, they could still have a kid.
Right.
And who's the dad?
Right. And she looks like both of them. So
right.
Who knows?
Is that a clue? You know, is there some technology that somebody will create in the future of that show where you can have an egg fertilized by a female egg?
Who knows?
I don't know.
And it was Princess Ladyfingers, voiced by the wonderful Zosie Mamet.
Oh, okay. Oh, that makes total sense because her and Kaylee did the some show together, and they're like best friends. The what's the show that Kaylee does where she's a flight attendant? It may even be called The Flight Attendant.
No, yeah. Is it the flight attendant?
Yeah,
I know
it's David Mamet's kid too.
Yes,
which makes me now want them to get David Mamet on the show.
Oh, what is that show called? Carlos.
It might just be, what is that show called? Like The Flight Attendant. I don't know.
The Flight Attendant. That's what it's called. Yes. Huh.
Yeah. I understand Carlos not enjoying the time travel stuff because it was kind of like a weird left field, you know. It was like, okay, we need to like leave and then come back. And
I liked Fat Damien though. I thought that was funny.
Oh,
yeah. Where he becomes the kid in the basement kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, you know, the kid's got issues.
Well, yeah, he most definitely will. So yeah, we all hope that as much as we liked season 4, although not as much as the first 3, we hope it goes back to what made the first 3 that much more enjoyable, which is having them all together while still being weird and wacky, irreverent, and you know, all those holy shit moments.
Mm.
Now, at the end of Harley Quinn, of the finale, and also released on the internet today, was a trailer for Kite Man. Hell yeah. Are you excited for this show? You mentioned not liking the character too much.
As I said, I was not a huge fan of the character when he was sort of, you know, Mr. Wishy-Washy with Poison Ivy.
Right.
But that trailer looked really funny. And I was like, okay, maybe this is going to be better. Maybe this is going to be, you know, he's not going to be such a wiener boy. There's some funny things going on. I like that it seems like it's very much going to be tied to Harley Quinn. You know, we saw briefly them in there. There is some other woman I didn't recognize, so you know that could be some cool new character. And
well, they have Golden Glider in it now because they're together as a couple.
Okay.
So they showed Bane in the trailer too,
right?
And they had Harley Right now, IMDb just lists Kite Man, Glider, and Harley in the credits. So
Right. Well,
hopefully Bane is in there. I will take more Bane. And I mean, the character's silly, and that voice just makes me laugh. I don't know if you ever saw this. Someone did a mock-up of all these Bane scenes where, like, Bane is obsessed with his gang's nutrition. Like, do you remember where we're in the stock exchange
right.
and they're like, okay, cut the fiber, and then all of a sudden they have Bane going, strawberries are packed with fiber, and say stuff like that.
Yeah. It's fun to think back on the guy who was the voice of Bane in the original Batman cartoon, because it was like somebody really, really cool who had like this really cool commanding voice, and he was really, really scary, and then you have this Bane who's just, even more ridiculous than Tom Hardy was not supposed to be.
Yeah. Who did they have is in the animated series?
Yeah, I forget who it was. It was somebody really cool.
I mean, there's so many.
Yeah.
Let us see who we can find.
I don't think it was Mark Leonard, but I think it was like Joaquin Almeida, who was like an actor.
They have Henry Silva for Batman the Animated Series. I don't know if for future ones if they had a different actor for it.
I don't know, but he was good, whoever he was.
Yeah.
But he had like, again, you have somebody playing a serious version of the serious character, and then Harley Quinn comes along and says like we're gonna give you like this super high pitched voice, and
I liked when Harley was yelling at the clones like, that doesn't even sound like me. Her voice is so grating and annoying.
Again, an obvious joke, but just
yeah, hearing it out loud and hearing it delivered that well is cheers to them. It's just the writers and the producers, they don't take this stuff seriously, and it gives them so much freedom, and they take full advantage of it, and I love the show for it.
Yeah, it is. I'm a big animation fan, as you know, and to me it's one of the better animated shows out there right now. Like, to me it's on par with like Rick and Morty and
for sure. And putting it in another context, I think it might be the best thing DC has done in the last 10 years.
Oh God, yeah. Well, I know you and I have had this conversation before. Like, I think that DC has always been much better at animation than Marvel, and Marvel's always been much better at the live action stuff. And this to me is just another example of it.
Right, but I'm sure if Warner's could trade places, they gladly would.
Yeah. I mean, but the trick would be to get both.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, that's the thing. DC would love it if their movies were as beloved as Marvel's, and they had the animation.
Now that James Gunn is over at Warner's, do you think he just is hands off with this show? This thing is working. Let these guys do their own thing.
Well, he was on the first season
as himself.
That's
right.
I know that people have asked him about it, and he has said basically they're good, they're their own thing. He's not gonna.
Right. Oh wait, he was in season 3 as well, wasn't he? Directing the Thomas Wayne movie.
Oh yeah, I think so. Like, really briefly, yeah. It also seems like his sense of humor too.
Yeah, for sure.
I think he's basically said like, you guys are your own thing. It's in a parallel universe to everything that we're, kind of the way that Batman the TV show is in a different universe from the Flash movie. And
right. Now, before we wrap things up, I want to talk about what's going on paulsemel.com. What are some of the latest stories you got going on over there?
So I ran a story this week earlier, just a really quick thing about some fun things that they did in the game Starfield that I really like. some interesting things that I kind of hope other game developers will read the piece and go like, oh yeah, we should do that. I'm also just starting to work on a Mortal Kombat review.
Oh,
I've started playing that. So far, it's a lot of fun. I mean, the embargo is lifted already, so I can talk about it. It's really, really fun. If you like Mortal Kombat, you're going to totally dig it. They've added this fun. I don't know how much you followed it, but they've added this fun sort of new mechanic where you basically hit a button and another fighter will come in, smack your enemy up the wazoo, and then leave.
cool.
So it's not like tag teaming. It's like it's almost like a special move. Like, like Sub-Zero will come in, freeze them, and then like leave. And like, so it kind of adds a little bit of fun to it. And, it's still Mortal Kombat, so.
Carlos says finish it so he can read about it.
Yes, I will. That's I'm working on a single player review of it. So that'll probably be
right.
Assuming all goes well, that'll be Monday.
Larry exclaimed music.
Oh, music. I haven't. There's still more. All I really get to review music wise these days is like jazz, like obscure, weird jazz stuff. And occasionally somebody will be like, "Sure, here's like a Led Zeppelin reissue," and I'm like, "You saved me $15." But
you should have reviewed Clayface's residency in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I would have had to go to Vegas for that. So
hey, you always got a room to crash, man.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
Oh, I love that they made the Luxor the Lexor, and it was a resort that catered to supervillains. And like I want to go there. Like,
yeah,
the Luxor itself is a shithole, but I want to totally go to the Luxor.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's funny because a lot of the stuff they do with villains is reminds me a lot of what they've done with in Venture Brothers with the Guild of Calamitous Intent. Where bad guys are a union and they have rules and like you have to pay your dues and whatnot, and they have an HR department which seems sort of antithetical to
villainy.
Yeah. Robot Chicken did a lot of that stuff too in their DC Comics special where like they showed like the Legion of Doom and like I think Lex Luthor's kid worked in the coffee shop that they had. Yeah.
Now, guys, I want to know what you thought of Harley Quinn season 4. Please leave a comment, drop me a tweet. All my socials are right up here. If you like this episode or like the other episodes that we've done, please subscribe, like, share with your friends. If you really, really like what I do, go pick up some RPadTV gimmicks. You can go to rpad.tv/merch to see all the t-shirts. We got some pop sockets, tote bags. Tote bags were an important part of this show, of this season. So pick up something if you like. Go to paulsemel.com to check out his excellent stories. And
I don't have any merch
on there. Well, we'll work on that. Also drop us a line if you would like us to start a podcast called Ray-Paul-Sive, which I totally think we should do that. Hey, if Logan Paul can have impulsive,
I know
we should have Ray-Paul-Sive because it's funnier. And we've been Paul and Ray respectively longer than he's been Logan. So I think we have the rights to it.
That's true. I think I haven't known you longer than he's been alive.
Really? How old is he? Is he that young? Or have we known each other for that long?
Both. I think it's both.
Well, there's a depressing thought. That's great. Bottom line is we both liked season 4. Perhaps Paul liked it a little bit more than I did, but we didn't like it as much as the first 3 seasons. And we hope season 5 will be a return to form. And thank you, Arlene Sorkin, for making this wonderful character become the amazing thing that it is. Thanks for watching RPadTV 3000. We have a special episode on Sunday where the crew from Revisiting Mania will be joining me to review Heels Season 2, the wonderful show on Stars that apparently nobody is watching, but I love it because it's about pro wrestling and it has Stephen Amell as a pro wrestler and the dude from Vikings or whatever. Thanks so much for watching RPadTV 3000. We will see you next time. Say goodbye, Paul.
Goodbye, Paul.